mask? Oh no, that's fine. So this is Sunday, February 23rd, 1992. He hadn't seen Jurassic Park yet. But then nobody had. This was 1992, and the movie wouldn't be out for another year. I still haven't seen Jurassic Park. Wednesday, January 1st, 1992. So Happy New Year! Hello. So Happy New Year. It's January 1st, 1992. We are reading today. So Josh, he's traveling back in time, and he's initially from 2055, so way in the future. He had been caught up in a time travel accident while visiting 2025, so still in the future. So, and that had sent him spiraling further and further back through time. Okay. So he was leaping back to 1992 in the hope of finding the one person who might be able to get him back home. Ooh. By his calculation, the next stop would be 1947. And then that would be, that's just terrible, right? Because then if he goes back to 1947, that's before my dad was born, before my parents were born, he would also have no immediate means of support in an England of rationing and austerity, just starting to rebuild after World War II. That was assuming England had won even the war in the universe he arrived in. I know, eh? This is class of 92. I'm not class of 92, but I was actually class of 93. Okay, hold on here. There's another one that I highlighted. Goodness knows what primitive methods they used to treat burns in 1992. Josh had done plenty of research on the year on the internet before he had left his previous year, 2014. So prior to 92, he was in 2014. Okay. Now, he couldn't imagine 500 pounds would get him very far, even at 1992 prices. What would he do in this time zone? Stack shelves in Tesco? He wouldn't even know how to go about getting a job. It would be hard enough in his century, but how would he find one here? They didn't even have the internet. I'm like, how do you find a job with no internet? He thought about the smartphone in his pocket. It was now useless. It may have been charged up, but there was no network to connect it to. Even if there had been, there would be nothing to connect to. Wikipedia, Amazon, BBC News, Google, none of it existed. How did people find things out in this period? Go to a library? Then there were newspapers, of course. Okay, now we read. And now I'm on. So now we're in Wednesday. So this is chapter 3 now. I haven't read this yet, but I need to document. I love having a good time with this book. That's why I'm going live, because I want to document this. I got this book on Amazon. If I remember, I will link it in the description. So it's a YA. This is book 5 in a bubble series. But I'm only reading this book. Look at the cover with the VHS and the VHS. No. What is this called? VCR. Video cassette recorder and the VHS tapes. That's it. I always forget the name VCR. Okay, so let's read. Let's take a little reading sprint, shall we? And I have my coffee here. I need to buy something for here because I like my carpet here, so I don't want another coffee table. But if I get another bookshelf, no, that's gonna go there, that's gonna go there. So I was thinking maybe the couch would have to go here, but, and then that wall would just be books. No, this is, I'm using this as my little table, so my drink is here. Oh, and I'm so tired. I just woke up from a nap. Well, it's not really a nap when it's 2 hours. I learned that in therapy. A 2-hour nap is called sleep. A nap is 20 minutes. Well, who sleeps for 20 minutes? How can you sleep for just 20? How can you just doze off for 20 minutes? No. When I nap, it's 2 hours. Oh, okay. See, so he was in a he seemed to be in a universe at the very least similar to his own. Now he just had to hope nuclear war didn't break out. That would not be good. The architecture might be timeless. The dressing around, it wasn't. He noticed many squat metal dustpans on the street with black plastic lids. They were very different to the multicolored wheelie bins of his century. There didn't appear to be any separate recycling facilities. He wondered when that had changed. Oh, so Josh wasn't totally unfamiliar with this era, as he had visited it once before, a year and a half before this, in the summer of 1990. Summer of 1990, it was the summer before I started at SDA in Oakville, because the school would open on September 4th, I think. So when he had come here in August 1990, it had been during a blistering heat wave. See, this is epic. So there's a couple of overweight middle-aged men with beards smoking pipes at the bar. He was the only customer. Despite it being early afternoon, he was shocked when he first saw the pipes. filling the air with their sickly sweet aromas, before he remembered that in this era, people were allowed to smoke in pubs. This is awesome. It's nice to go back, eh? I'm time traveling. To someone from Josh's time, where smoking was banned pretty much everywhere other than in private residences, this seemed quite archaic. Still, a century earlier, they used to send kids up chimneys, so he guessed it was all progress. The 90s were epic. Yeah, because kids would fit up the chimney, right? Oh my God, it was so cold today and windy. Jeez. And we had some flurries happening. It's always windy though. He had noticed that accents tended to be stronger the further back he went in time. Interesting. Zippo. Having no idea what a Zippo was. I'll have a pint of Old Peculiar. Don't know what that is. Probably because it was New Year's Eve last night and everyone's still hungover. It'll pick up later. Aren't you a little old for football training? What's camera? Camera, not camera. Are you a member of Camera? CAMRA. Pity. Thank you for that. Oh my God. but I'm moving on up, eh? So he's gone back in time, but I'm moving forward with the times because I have the podcast app and I've been listening to podcasts. What's that? What? Yeah, all the youngins are listening to podcasts, and so I've been listening to. So far, I downloaded a bunch of mindfulness podcasts. There's the Brotherly Love Pod. I have the What Women Binge, and I have Tess Busy Blooming with Tess Barclay. I tell ya, this girl is such an inspiration. She's 21 years younger than I am. And I'm so inspired by her. Like, she's just, oh my gosh. Like, how are you that good? Like, how are you that motivational? Like, oh, at 20, no way. She's not going to be 28 is this year, is she? Although I think she might be 27. I think she's 96. Like, how are you? Like, when I was in my 20s, I was not thinking. Then again, like I said, it was the 90s. So, but it was just. So I've been listening to Busy Blooming with Tess Barclay. She's on YouTube too, on TikTok. But her podcast, yeah, she's just such an inspiration. Highly recommend her. And then I want to listen to the Brotherly Love Pod because Donnie Wahlberg appeared on there. I liked watching that, but then they got too into having guests on, so I lost interest. But Donnie was on there, so I want to listen to that one. And now when I go for my walk, I might even listen to a podcast and not my music. What? So, yeah. And oh yeah, and I downloaded a bunch of like therapist, mental health, mindfulness, sleep podcasts. Like, wow, this is awesome. I didn't even know that the podcast app, I think it came with the phone, but I removed it because I'm like, well, I'm not going to listen to podcasts. I'm not that generation. But then I'm like, I'm like, okay, let's do it. And oh my God, like I listened to her whole episode. I need to, she will tell you how to be a content creator. Like, it's just, she's so motivational. She's such an inspiration. Like, oh my goodness. I started watching her on YouTube when she was just Tess Bark before she started Busy Blooming. And that's a place for like, because she didn't have a place for 20-year-olds to hang out. So she started Busy Blooming. And she was not, at that time, she was working corporate, 9 to 5 for the Big Four. And I think she still lives in downtown. But it's just such an inspiration. Highly recommend. Busy Blooming with Tess Barclay. Although she's getting married soon. I wonder if she'll change her name on the podcast. Aha! The one who he knew to be called Benedict had an old-fashioned pocket watch hanging from his breast pocket. Pocket watches. Remember pocket watches? can't reach it. I will try to remember. Hopefully, I wonder if I can link it. If I can link that podcast. If I can link a podcast. I know I can copy the link and share it. Or I can share it. So I wonder if I can copy a link. And yeah, because phenomenal. Highly recommend. Okay, let's be back in 92 for another 10 minutes. And then I think Meg's doing reading sprints, so maybe we'll try. I'm still tired. It's terrible. He had planned to buy a whole new wardrobe once he was settled in 1992, expecting money to be no object. So if a pint was only $1.30, yeah, he's expecting that it's going to be cheaper in the 90s than in his time. He wouldn't even be born for another decade. So it wasn't as if he had any friends and family to lean on. Technically, in this time, he didn't exist. Epic, epic, epic. Sorry, I'm back in 92. Obviously, there would be some family, right? Some family in this time. Oh, he had come back to this time specifically to attend a family gathering. Oh, so in June his parents would be getting married. Imagine going back in time and then you're at your parents' wedding. So for me, I'd have to go back to April 1972. So that's 3 years before I was born. Imagine, like you're all of a sudden you're like standing at your parents' wedding and you see all these people, you have no idea who they are, and then you see your grandparents and then other people, you're like, who are you? Isn't that cool though? And then you're like you don't recognize your father. You're like, and you think she looks, because my parents look so different in 72 from pictures. Like I don't recognize my dad looks so different, and my mom had this like long blonde hair, so I might recognize her. But my dad, I'd be like, who's that? Yeah, totally. I might recognize, like I said, I might recognize my mom, but she had like really light blonde hair from what I see in the black and white pictures. I need to get a pair of jeggings. I love jeggings. I always thrift them. I love wearing jeggings. You know those jeans? I love wearing those. Oh yeah! Not only did he have to ensure he didn't do anything that might prevent the wedding from taking place. But he also needed to keep the timeline on track for at least another 60 years after that. Oh yeah, that's right. Like you have to make sure that you don't change the past, because what if you go back to your parents' wedding and you do something and they don't end up getting married? So then that affects your being born or something. See, that's why I don't wear glasses when I film, eh? Because there's that glare there. I'm so careful I don't want to spill it on my new carpet. Beer Festival, 1983. He had noticed on his previous visit to the 90s, to the 1990s, how polluted the air seemed in this time. Oh my God. And it was about to get a lot worse. Oh my God. Okay. How long is this chapter? He wretched at the smell, recalling how many vehicles were still using leaded petrol or diesel at this time. Some familiar names, such as McDonald's, were still where they had always been. But the majority of the street was very different. So just along from McDonald's was a shop Josh had never heard of called Our Price. Yeah, I don't know Our Price. If he came here, he might see Kmart, might see Woolco. I don't know about when Consumers Distributing went out of business. HNV. Stars by Simply Red was a favorite of his mother's, he recalled. While Queen's Greatest Hits, number 1 and 2, which his dad liked, were both on display. All right, so now we're gonna go back to this time. We're gonna go back, we're gonna return to 2024 and feed the hamsters. So thank you for joining us, and yeah, I'm enjoying my time back in 92. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye. Hi to all my new subscribers. Bye.